Okay, so listen. I have been doing you a disservice. We are now on episode 8. And I haven't even done 6 and 7. So let's do 6 and 7 real quick together. And then I'll give you another video for 8. How you feel about that? What's up? How you doing, Ray of Sunshines? I am your girl, Talisa Ray, lifestyle coach. We are reviewing Put a Ring on It, season number 1, episode 6 and 7. If it's your first time visiting my channel, click the subscribe button, be a ray of sunshine, click the notification bell so you can get alerts that I've uploaded new videos. Okay, so episode 6 is called Feeding the Flames. When we come back in, we see that Mike has said yes to a 3rd date to Whitney. We know he likes Whitney. We like Whitney for him. Shay, of course, is upset, and you know, he's like, listen, I need to see what's up. Like, I really haven't had the opportunity to really see if we're compatible, and that's what I need to do. We also see or get a better glimpse into who Hollywood is and how he became to be and his relationship with his mother. And you know, he mentions, you know, sometimes I felt like she didn't want me. Sometimes I felt she used me as a pawn, like she would hit me and hurt me and call my dad as a form of manipulation. He was like, I was left at the park at 4 or 5. Like, you know, he was like, I don't fault my mother, but this is what it is, and this is what I saw. And he was like, sometimes I feel like I need to be like her and be myself. No, Hollywood, you don't. Your mother was unhappy. Your mother was unhappy, and do not latch on to someone else's unhappiness. She did the best that she could. There is no manual to being a mom, and doing it by yourself is even harder, but don't latch on to that way of thinking. Your mom was unhappy, and unfortunately you were a realization of what didn't happen or what didn't come about with your dad. So everybody says they're gonna go on a date, or no, not everybody says, but everybody is going on a date. Okay, everybody's going on a date. Let's start with Vince and Tamika, right? Vince goes out with Christina, you know, also a girl who has her natural hair like Tamika. I wrote down she's a really beautiful sister and big on family. They talk about, you know, things in common. They had a lot in common, one of which was the photography. She goes out with John Mark, who comes to the door. I wrote down things are uncomfortable, and they go to a wine bar. Like, you see how vested I was? I watched it, but like, I don't know. Let's talk Ashley in Hollywood. Hollywood's date is Tasha, and I wrote, Tasha is hot like fire. Her dress, that pink one, was a little tad too tight. I also wrote down Ashley does have a little bit of Hollywood's energy, that whole jealousy energy, that whole, like, you do know when you're with somebody for a while, you guys kind of take on some of the same attributes, and I feel like she does have some of that same excitable energy. She invites her into the house and she gives her a once over. You know how we do. Hollywood, being his silly self, grabs both their hands and says a prayer to God about the 2 sexy ladies. And I was like, he being silly. This is not the time or the place. The girl he going out on a date with, Tasha, should be uncomfortable. Ashley was like, you being silly right now. Like, I was like, okay, Hollywood, come on. Now, Ashley goes out with a new guy as well, and it is Kwame. When he walks up, she's attracted to him, his beard, his teeth, his smile. Like, all of those things were very attractive about Kwame. And they go skating. You know, he's like, you know, I don't really skate, but you know, she skates. And he tells her, you know, you're a catch, like, because she don't have no kids. It's like a unicorn, a woman, you know, in her 30s with no children. A black woman in her 30s with no children. It's probably more prevalent than people think. Ashley got in her little gold little bottom in her teeth, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. When I get these braces off, maybe I want me a little gold bottom. Like, get me one made. I don't. I also forgot to say that Ashley was kind of I forgot to mention that Hollywood is turned off by Tasha in her line of questioning. Like, she's not getting to know him. She's asking questions about Ashley and their relationship. I mean, because it's a thing. Like, what are we doing? Most women are not into dating someone that is in a relationship already. They want you to themselves. So now let's talk Mike and Shay really quick. Shay's little dress, honey, she didn't come to play. She got tired of Mike and this whole Whitney thing. She got on this little black dress, honey, with these cutouts up the side, which means you either have to have on no panties or like a thong G-string with the very thin side strap. That's not what that's called, but y'all ladies know what I'm talking about. She goes out with Rick. What Shay is realizing is that he may not want to be married and that she might need to look at other options because maybe she's not what he wants. When he comes in, Mike's all like, you a little too light. I was like, listen, that ain't okay, Mike. That's not okay. And then I always don't like how when they the fellas invite them in and they checking, you know, like you sitting there trying to check them about how to treat her. Like, I wouldn't be here if for some reason she wasn't happy or something wasn't going awry in your relationship. So don't be checking me, bruh. Like, that's how I feel. And they seem to sit there and listen to it. At that point, I was like, I don't like Rick because Rick is just listening to him like that's her daddy talking to him. This is also when we find out that Shay doesn't want any children, and she has the conversation with Rick about, you know, what he wants. That he played basketball for 8 years, that he does want children, but after he travels and gets to know his wife and loves on his wife, he also mentions a nanny. And you know, the fact that he has no children right now is huge for Shay. Like I said in previous episodes, listen, you gotta get what you like. Like, you might have been on and off with Mike for 6 years, but he has a child, and you just said you don't want any children. What we know is because she's a little selfish. I did write down, though, at least she's honest about not wanting kids because she wants to connect with her spouse, as if you cannot do that and have children. When we see Mike and Whitney, they have a little picnic and they feeding each other fruit, grapes and strawberries. And I was like, this is a recipe for disaster. This is a recipe for disaster with wine. It's too sensual. He has a conversation with her about the Zion issue with Shay. Like, you know, how she doesn't want him to be there, etc. She was like, you know what, shit, I'd be happy to be a bonus mom. I'd be happy to take on, you know, the responsibilities and to come in and to help and to, you know, help mold him. That's what women do when we like someone with children. Don't be with a man if you don't like men with children and you don't want to step into that role. Then definitely that should be one of the questions that you ask right off the top. Do you have children? When they say yes, you say thank you for your time, because I don't want to be with nobody with no kids. It's too much. Whitney says to him, what happens when we like each other? Because I feel like I'm getting the short end of the stick. You go home to your girl, I go home to an empty bed. That is such a thing. That is such a thing that most women can relate to, especially single women. We relate heavily on the comfort of someone being there at home with you. Like, we need to have a conversation about like the different types of relationships and how they work. That's a thing. That's one thing that we long for, no matter what we want, if it's traditional or non-traditional. When we are single, it's nice to have a bed by yourself, but some nights they get cold and you want somebody to, you know, spoon with or snuggle up with. The relationship that Whitney and Mike are forming at this point could pose a problem. Like, you can tell he likes her, and she's a very attractive woman. Very attractive woman. So then we get back to the group session, and we're all together. We're all together. And Dr. Nicole literally mentions, like, you're going on 4 weeks dating Whitney. How is it going? And it kind of like drags. Like, it's almost like nails on a chalkboard listening. I know that if I was Shay and I was listening to this, it would be bothering me, and I would be lying if I had said that it hadn't. The one thing you're gonna have to give Shay credit for, though, even though she may not be our favorite person, is that she is honest about her emotions and how she feels about shit. When Shay starts to talk about her date with Rick, she expresses that she had a good time, that he was great company, that they have chemistry, that she likes him, and you can see that Mike is jealous. And he realizes that someone else wants her, and starts to try and spend, wants to spend more time with his girl, because evidently he thought that nobody else wants Shay. Evidently. Tamika said she liked that John Mark was a communicator, but he really ain't her type. Vince said that he had a good time with his date with Christina. And when Dr. Nicole asked her how she felt about it, she was like, oh, I don't care. And I was like, lies, lies. Your name is Liza Minnelli. But then the worst though part is that an argument ends up ensuing, and it is a big argument. Shit gets real heated, and she talks about how she's trying to move forward, but he keeps holding her in that same place, like they had just had an argument before they had walked in. And so the reason that she's kind of indifferent right now is because of the conversation that they had before they came in to the group session. And I wrote down that the two of them aren't really that honest with one another because of fear of what the other person is gonna say. So of course he feels like she doesn't trust him, and of course she doesn't trust him. So it's just, they don't communicate well with one another. And Dr. Nicole gave them a piece of advice that I feel like is good for all of us. Respond to what you hear, not to what you think you hear or what you think that the person is saying. So if I'm asking you, oh, who was that? Don't think I'm asking, who was that? Some girl you sleeping with on the side? Like, answer what you hear. I think that that's a good thing, a good lesson that we all could use in just our everyday, like, interactions with one another. Answer what you hear, not what you think that they're trying to communicate. And I keep saying it, y'all keep saying it. Tamika needs to work on her insecurities. Even though it is Vince that has been like fueling them, she needs to work on them so she's more confident in herself and knows that, you know what, I'm the shit, bitch. Like, you got me fucked up if you think that there's anything better than me, even though there's possibly something better for, better than her, more pretty, that's exactly what it is. But because I stand in my own beauty, confidence is sexy, ain't nobody you ever gonna meet gonna be me, period. Hollywood mentions that he realizes that all his dates have been purely physical. Like, I like big booties and bodies and all of that, but he actually needs to have someone to converse with and to grow with. Ashley said that the date with Kwame was easygoing, it was playful, it was reminiscent of when Hollywood and her first started dating. And when Dr. Nicole asked how he felt about it, he said, you know what, I don't like it, but I'm handling it better, right? It's not something that I like, but listen, I gotta deal with it. And I wrote down again that he is growing so much, like he is healing and growing a lot. When asked if they want to go on dates again with these people, Tamika said no. Vince said he would like to go on a second date because he liked her. When Dr. Nicole asked Tamika how she felt about him wanting to go on a second date, she was like, I'm okay. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel until that bridge is crossed. And I was like, be honest. I'm uncomfortable with it, because she looked like she was about to cry. I don't know, y'all. Did y'all think she was going to cry? I thought she was going to cry. Of course, Mike wants to go on another date with Shay, which is going to make it date number... This would be date number 4. The next date would be date number 4. Lord, they didn't been on a lot of dates. And Shay says that Rick definitely gets a second date. Hollywood says, no, I don't want to go on another date because it feels like I'm cheating if I keep going on dates, multiple dates with the same person. If I just date as a serial dater with different people, I don't build connections. But going with the same person over and over again, I will, and it would feel like I'm cheating, and I don't want to hurt her. She said, Kwame said, Ashley said Kwame gets a second date. Definitely he gets a second date. All right, so that was quick and easy. Let's go to 7 and make it quick and easy too. Dr. Nicole said to them that they need to consider this week, how well are we hearing and being heard? I think that was prompted by that whole Tamika and Vince incident. Hear what's being said, respond to what's being said. Anyway, so everybody goes on a date and go all in with the desire to learn about yourself. Let's go Mike and Shay. So Rick and Shay go out on a date. I wrote down his shorts is a big no. And they go and they play basketball. She is actually very competitive. We already know that because tit for tat with her and Mike. And she's actually a good shot. I was like, okay, girl, I see you. Like hitting all the baskets. You playing with the overseas basketball player who missed one. And y'all had a wager. And the wager was she would give him a kiss on the cheek. And she would get picked up. And what Rick said earlier was something to the effect of, I don't feel like she's in a relationship with somebody else because of the simple fact that she's engaged when we are together. Now, I would think that these are boundaries being crossed because he picks her up and isn't that physical contact? Not only does he pick her up, but he does like dumbbell curls with her, right? So I don't know, y'all let me know, because I feel like that was out of bounds based on her own rules and regulations. She also reveals that, you know what, I thought about you when I wasn't with you. I mean, because the thing that's appealing to her is not only is he attractive to her, but he's marking the boxes with the kids. Though he wants children, he's okay with a nanny, and he's okay with connecting together first. Then you see Mike and Whitney together, and you know, listen, Whitney is like, I need to have a conversation with him. Like, this ain't working for me. And she wants to talk about the boundaries that were set by Shay and Mike. You know, he actually wants to do the same. She straight says that she needs to see some progression or I have to go. I need to get to know you more. I need to be able to touch you. I need to be able to communicate, spend time with you and connect with you. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time. So we need to figure out what it is that you're going to do. What are we doing? And Mike made a really good point that both of these women are giving ultimatums. And ultimatums are a hard thing, but you definitely have to say what you want or walk away. That's what an ultimatum is. So for Shay, it's marry me or I gotta go. And Whitney is like, I need you to show up here or I'm wasting my time and I have to go. We have to set expectations and set those type of boundaries. Those aren't really ultimatums, they are, but it is for my own sake. Why would I continue to get to know you and grow with you and then only be left high and dry in the dust? Set the expectation, stick to it, have your non-negotiables, because fellas have them all the time, ladies. So let's talk Ashley in Hollywood. Hollywood goes out with the new person, Shantae, to like Sky Zone, I believe, because that's what we call it here in LA. You know, one of them grown-up bouncy houses, but it's really for kids. It's a huge bouncy house kind of thing where you do all the jumping and flips and stuff, and they play volleyball. And he says, you know what, I've been doing myself a disservice. I'm going to open up and I'm going to enjoy the date. And it's fun and enjoyable and it's competitive. And he always says something that is like inappropriate, and partly I'm all like, maybe he says that inappropriate shit so that there is no real connection. So he says something to the effect of, you ain't never been on a date with balls in your face, when the ball hits her in the face, like totally like Hollywood style. With Ashley, Kwame comes to the house and picks up Ashley. And she's already ready, but you know, I think that's just the ploy the producers have so that they can sit and have a conversation together. And it's just unnerving to hear the fellas talk, you know, like, yes, my girl, she been on a couple, like, I'm all like, y'all could just cut that out. because it's like I'm beating on my chest and I'm Tarzan, she Jane, that's my woman, I drag her by her hair. Like I hate listening to those. Like I do, y'all. Let me know how you feel about that. Do you like that banter that the fellas have? You know, because it's really more of the boyfriends that are exuding or beating on their chest, and then you have the dates like sitting there dealing with it. Some of them are, you know, they aren't as aggressive or as assertive as I feel like they should be. Like, man, she good, like I don't need all that, I'm taking her on a date, you agreed to it, I'm out, peace. Like that's how I feel anyway. But then I would probably be like, is that disrespectful? On the date, Ashley is hugging and holding hands and shit, just like really is enjoying him and the time they spend together. Like they really are kind of vibing. They at this little, like, I guess like I don't know, maybe like a Dave and Buster's. I don't know if y'all have those, which is like an adult gaming place. And you know, like carnival shit. And they seem to be having like a really good time with one another. So then we talk Vince and Tamika. Vince goes out with Christina again, but she comes to the house to pick him up. And Vince is actually preparing to go, getting his cameras and stuff together because they're going on like a photography date. And I wrote down, she is really insecure because she was like, so y'all gonna take pictures of each other? Like y'all taking pictures of each other? Like what are we doing? Like her mind instantly went to something that was not healthy. Like, why can't we be taking pictures of nature? Why can't we be taking pictures of cars? Or, you know, like she instantly went to y'all taking pictures with one another. And all her mind thought was, oh, you know, this is real sexy and sensual. You got the poser. You know, like literally, I want her to heal. Well, Christina comes in and has a drink, honey. They all sit and they have shots. And I'm looking like this is a recipe for disaster. Because Christina comes in and it's almost like she's a counselor for them, asking questions about their relationship and how they got there. And I feel like Tamika was wrong when she was like, he wanted to be a player. Like, she could have provided the same information, but in a different way. He made me question our relationship by his actions outside of it. Anything but player. Like it was almost like she was trying to ruin it because it was their second date. She mentions his dishonesty, and I think I wrote down, she says that she's in control, and I'm going, okay girl, how? Where? You're not. So now that they're on the date, you know, Christina wants to ask questions about what just happened, and Vince has to manage the expectations. Fortunately, she doesn't allow it to ruin the date. He says that he actually likes her but doesn't really want to like her because of his relationship with Tamika. Tamika goes out with Devin, who happens to also be a photographer like her man. They go to the escape room and they get stuck in the room. They don't know how to get out, you know what I'm saying? They end up sitting there and just having conversations. They have a similar family background with both parents in the home. And I wrote down, Devin seems like he's her type. Now we're all together for the weekly session, and Dr. Nicole asked Tamika how she feels about Devin and her date, and she said there was attraction and chemistry, and it was like there was no like anticipating or worried about lies and trust and cheating. It was easy, and that was a relief, you know. And so when Vince goes to explain how his date was, and Tamika's response was that she wasn't affected, I said, oh, okay, so one good date and you're healed, one good date and you've done the work that's required. Not if you're holding on to 2 years worth of shit, right? It's a no. Well, when Hollywood speaks on Shantae, he says that he had a great date. They enjoyed one another's company, but he's happy with who he's with. And so that's his theme. Like, why would I want to go? Why would I want to keep doing this? I'm happy with her. I had a good time, but yeah, it was cool. And Ashley mentions, you know what, I want him to really experience this so we can even the playing field. Like, what good is it if I'm enjoying my date and really trying to see if I want to be with Hollywood by dating other people, and you're just like, oh, I'm just going on here because I signed up. She wants him to have the full experience. Because right now she's feeling like, you know what, I have to subdue my emotions and put them back on the back burner for his sake, so that he doesn't get upset and be mad. Stop Ashley from talking about what a great date she had with Kwame, how they have chemistry and connection, and she really likes him, and that he's playful and he's flirty, and it's the newness of it. And then you see Hollywood get upset like, yo, listen, I do that. I've been doing that. I've been doing that for 9 years. And this is the thing that Ashley worries most about, is this type of behavior and this type of aggression. Because he's all like, if that's what you want to do, you know, if you like that, then go on and be with dude, and you don't need to be with me. Like, he gets really upset and actually vocalizes it in a very aggressive manner. Because we know that men who declare that we are theirs will feel some kind of way, will experience some jealousy, but they don't always act out in that manner. So now when Shay starts talking about her date, she's all like, he's Big Rick. I was like, this girl really knows that this is bothering Mike. And so she playing it up to the best of her ability. Mike says, you know what, I'm not threatened, but it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to watch her connect with someone else and to be with someone else. And that now it's making him value the time that they have together. And I really feel like the two of them are, though I don't like Shay or who she was and who she showed us to who she was in the beginning, I think that they're making the most progress. I think that this whole experiment is benefiting them the most, because the thing she had a problem with about Mike was his communication, and it is definitely pulling that out of him. He's communicating about how he feels, and you know, like, yo, I don't like it. Mike starts to talk about breaking the boundaries. Like, listen, how am I really gonna get to know her if I have these expectations and these boundaries set? Like, what happened? Shay says, you know what, men are stupid. Men are stupid and they need boundaries. Where women are not going to cross certain lines, men are going to press the line. I'm gonna be honest, I know a lot of women that's gonna press the line too. Like, I'm not happy in this relationship and this is what we doing, so I'm about to really see if I connect with old boy. Y'all let me know what you think about this episode, those episodes 6 and 7. And I really just did them so that we can get to episode 8. Y'all let me know down below in the comments, because we can ready to go into 8. If it's your first time visiting my channel, click the subscribe button, become a ray of sunshine, click the notification bell, and be alerted of when I upload videos, right? I love you in real life and want every good thing that God has in store for you, even if you don't know what that is for yourself. Hugs and kisses and lots of love. I'll catch you on the next video.